Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/comedy podcast network. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
There, everybody, and welcome to another Sports
Podcast.
I am Joel Anderson,
This is Jordan Pomaville.
and that is the sports outsider, Phil Ranta.
I hate being called that.
And I keep
You're
forgetting to say
that
this.
person.
I'm a this as well. I'm a sports outsider, but I'm still a this.
I don't think so.
Where is that?
You guys were harmonizing your bliss.
Yeah.
I think you're really more of a. I think it's terrible to listen to. We probably shouldn't do that.
Nah, it's probably terrible.
No, you're that.
Yep, nobody else is listening now because they just heard that. They're like, fuck this podcast. I'm not listening anymore.
You see any games this week, Phil?
No.
You play any games this week, Phil?
Yes.
What'd you play?
I played Tecmo Super Bowl with the Detroit Lions 1991. This time, no guests. It was
what?
just me.
It was just you?
Believe it or not,
Who's
it's
gonna
just
listen to
me.
that? Oh, boy, it's so
Apparently
good.
up to a dozen people on YouTube. YouTube.com/comedypodnet. Make sure to check it out.
Check it out.
The green of the grass.
Oh, Jesus
The
Christ.
softness of
No.
a well-worn glove.
Oh, here we go.
And
the
you thought
smile
that we're gonna
of a
stop
child
people.
eating popcorn at the game. This is Only Baseball, presented by Sox.
Feel the socks on your feet.
Volume 3.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
This is a terrible segment.
The dead ball era.
Oh, dead. I like this.
The dead ball era lasted from the beginning of baseball until 1919 and the emergence of Babe Ruth as a power hitter.
Did someone die? Someone died by the hand of the ball?
We're trying to listen, Phil.
God, this is a
The
terrible
era
segment.
was characterized by low-scoring games and a lack of home runs.
Well, I'll
Ooh.
criticize.
In 1908, runs scored were an all-time low, with teams averaging only 3.4 runs scored per game.
Wow, can you imagine, Phil?
No, I can't. This is fucking terrible.
During this era, baseball was a more strategy-driven game. It focused on small ball, which involved the stealing of bases and hit-and-run type plays. Speed was emphasized, and teams played in cavernous ballparks
Can
that
I
limited home runs.
I want to
Ooh.
interject. We're starting every podcast from now on with something that's spoken in low tones.
It's called
Yeah.
Only Baseball. It's
Yeah,
our
But
new
the low
segment.
tones fit the sport, which is
Boring,
pastoral.
which is
and-
boring.
Pastoral nature
How
of
can
baseball.
you say it's boring? I mean, baseball back when they only averaged 3.41 runs a game?
Can everybody tweet at us at Sports3 Podcast and demand that the segment be taken off? I need some unity here.
I think
Demand it.
everyone's going to tweet to demand more.
All right,
only
either
baseball.
demand more or demand less. I know you're going to demand less.
Listen to this. Despite the lack of home runs, in no other era have teams stolen as many bases as in the dead ball era.
Now that is a fascinating
I hear
factoid that you're not going to
stealing
get
and dead,
elsewhere.
and I'm still not interested.
However, despite the important role of thrilling defense, intricate strategy, and lightning fast speed, there were some complaints about the low scoring. This
Yes.
led to the invention of the cork-centered baseball in 1909 by the Reach Company, who provided baseballs to the American League.
Ooh.
It was followed by Spalding, the supplier of baseballs to the National League, who came up with a cork-centered baseball of their own. The effects were immediate. League-wide batting average of the American League raised from 243 in 1910 to 273 in 1911.
Nothing. That's like
No,
2
wow.
more hits per game.
Yeah, 2 more hits per game, Phil.
Oh, God, I hate baseball.
Of course, it would be until 1920 when rule changes banned spitballs and required dirty baseballs to be removed from play. That and the emergence of Babe Ruth would lead to the end of the dead ball era and a new, less exciting, power-driven game.
Man.
Wait, less exciting, power-driven? If you
Yeah.
describe something as power-driven, that's more exciting.
There's a lot more skill in the dead ball era, Phil.
No,
you know,
that's
a lot
like
more
saying,
place
like,
hitting.
oh, a less exciting, high-octane film.
Well, it was, they were running faster. You've seen the
Yeah.
films of the players speeding around those
I
bases.
thought that's because when they shot it in, like, 1920s, everything looked like it was fast
Nobody
motion.
likes explanations like that. They were
Yeah.
really fast.
They were super fast, Phil.
This segment is super slow.
This was Only Baseball, presented by Sox.
Socks are on your feet.
Well, we have a great show.
We better after that because everybody is either tuned out or asleep.
I think people are really digging into that segment. I think people wanted something meaty.
At Sports the Number 3 podcast,
I think people
please.
wanted something heady
Tell
and meaty.
Jordan it's not meaty. Please.
Packed with factoids
Packed
and
with
detail.
factoids. The way
and
Snickers
history.
is packed with peanuts, this was packed with
absolutely.
facts.
The word factoid is the worst word ever. It's just facts. What's a factoid?
It's like a half fact.
Yeah, it's like
It's
an
a mini
interesting
fact.
little, largely meaningless fact.
It's
Hey,
the
what's
larva
on the
stage.
podcast
It's the
today?
larva stage of
Well,
a fact.
speaking of baseball, biggest story in all of sports right now, obviously, the suspension of Ryan Braun
It's true.
for the use of HGH, the biogenesis scandal coming to a head. Ryan Braun accepts the suspension. He is on the podcast today.
Is he also the brawny man?
Not anymore. If he were, Brawny would have dropped him because of the scandal of him taking steroids.
He's going to be out for the rest of the season.
Out for the rest of the
65
season.
Games. So I'm
2011 MVP Ryan Braun suspended for the remainder of the season.
Well,
for
And I
doping.
know sometimes I go a little easy on Bud Selig because I have a soft spot for the guy, but I'm ready to ask hard-hitting questions of Ryan Braun. I want answers.
Absolutely. We are going to grill Ryan Braun about why he lied for so long and why he pushed so hard and called so many other people liars.
Brawny man.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil, we got a weird sport?
You're goddamn right that we do.
All right, and we got a news.
I
All
can't
right.
wait. News on the Sports Podcast with Jordan, Joel, and Phil.
News. Greg Oden selecting team to start his comeback with.
Good.
Subheadline, Greg Oden's The Decision to be aired by TV Land.
Oh, is Greg Oden also have two ravens on his shoulder? Like thought and memory? And that
What?
the god Odin does?
Oh.
Like
wow.
Whoa.
Surprising.
You thought only baseball was boring?
Oh, come on, it's mythology. It's cool.
I do like mythology. I'll tell you.
you.
I'll tell you what Greg Oden doesn't have two of.
What?
Good knees.
That's
That's too bad.
Oden will host 3 teams to watch him work out. The Sacramento Kings, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Miami Heat. Of course, the Spurs and Mavericks have already met with Oden and remain in contention for his services. The 25-year-old, who has the same disease as Robin Williams had in the movie Jack,
Oh.
has played just 82 career games in the NBA since being drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers with the number 1 overall pick.
Who's the number 2 overall pick?
In 2000, what?
I think it was Loki.
No. No, it was not.
Odin was
Loki,
number 1.
Phil.
Loki
The
was
god
number
of
2.
mischief did not. Anyway, I think it was Kevin
Thor.
Durant. Do you remember Kevin Durant? He played for Texas. Has he done anything since the draft?
He's been quite successful.
Trailblazers, should they have maybe taken him?
Maybe, but why take that when you can take a 7-foot tall guy from Ohio State
Right?
who looks like a grown ass man
Yeah.
at the age of 18?
You should see a picture, Phil. He looks like
I
he's
can
47.
only imagine. That's yeah.
You can Odin imagine.
Oh, boo! Down with Jordan. Up with miniskirts.
He hasn't appeared in an NBA game since December of 2009 due to numerous knee problems due to 7 feet tall. He also underwent his 3rd microfracture knee surgery in February of 2012.
Third?
3rd microfracture knee surgery.
I've read about those. That's one of those things that like it happens to athletes and they come back like a year and a half later, and it happens to like a normal person and they never walk again.
Right.
Like an ACL tear is one of those things that like if you do nothing but watch football, you think, oh, I tore my ACL. It really hurt, but I'll be back soon. And then like 5 years later, you're like, I still can't walk normally.
Yeah, no, it's
And he's
training.
had 3 of them.
It's practice. You gotta train your way out of the pain. Train away from pain. That rhymes.
Since then,
like
Odin
a
has
coach,
done
Phil.
what they tell you to do. He's let everyone he knows that he's looking for work.
Cool.
He's began cold calling teams.
Good.
Hello, do you have a need for a frequently injured 7-foot tall guy?
Oh, never leave with
No,
their bad
it's
suits.
not Yao Ming. It's Greg Oden. Yao Ming is Chinese. I'm Greg Oden. I sound totally different than
He's
him.
Norse. Odin.
How is that less boring than baseball?
I
It's
can't
not.
tell you with certainty that Greg Oden is not from Norway. I'm guessing he's not, but I don't know where he's from. So
And he's also been handing out resumes, which might be a mistake when your resume highlights are 82 career games and 1 year at Ohio State.
Oh, he left college early.
Yeah, he was a one and done.
He
Bet he wish he'd gotten that degree now.
Yeah, well, it's also like he looked like someone who had, was going to college off like the 1945 GI Bill.
Right.
'Cause he was an old-looking man.
He should go on LinkedIn, linkedin.com, America's marketplace for social media hiring.
And before going on an interview, remember to put on a pair of socks.
That's every LinkedIn thing.
What?
Socks. Wear them on your feet. It's every LinkedIn suggestion is always like, here's 5 tips to interview. Number 1, don't call your interviewer a dick bag. Number 2, make sure to not whip your dick out and slap him in the face.
Oh man, hang on. I'm gonna take notes.
No, you can read it all on LinkedIn.com.
Can you keep going though? I think I have an interview next week, and I was gonna slap him in the face with my penis and call him a dick bag. That was my strategy for the first 2 minutes.
Well, luckily that you're going to work at Dick Bags Incorporated. Arthur Dickbag?
You just slapped me in the face with your dick.
Yeah.
I like your spunk.
We're
Shows
looking for someone to work in
I
our
like your spunk. That works on all multiple different levels.
We're looking for someone to work in our dick slapping in the face department. I'm Harold Dickbag. Slap Dickbag, you're hired.
Charlie Weiss, brutally honest in Big 12 Media Days press conference.
Charlie White.
Charlie Weiss has a job?
Subheadline, still a brutally awful coach.
Whoa, in his face.
Oh, meow. Yes, he's the head coach for the Kansas Jayhawks.
Kansas is not a nothing job. How did he get a job
Well,
at
in
Kansas?
football.
Well,
he's
no,
not the basketball coach.
Yeah, but even in football, it's a Big 12 team.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Well, yeah, but
It's in Lawrence.
Ooh, Lawrence.
Lawrence, Kansas.
They have 3 bars.
Yeah, I think
And
it
they
goes
have
by
more.
Jordan. I think it goes by Larry, actually.
Larry, Kansas.
No, please. Call our town Larry. No formalities.
Lairville. When asked about selling high school kids to play for Kansas, Weiss said he is.
I thought your wife said it. My damn wife kept saying.
Weiss said he is as straightforward as possible. Kansas gives players who want to play right away a great shot at starting from day one. He followed this with the specific quote. There's no one that wants to not play, he said. I said, have you looked at that pile of crap out there? Have you taken a look at that? So if you don't think you can play here, where do you think you can play? It's a pretty simple approach, and it's not a sales pitch. That's practical. You've seen it, right? Unfortunately, so have I.
Whoa, wait a second. I'm confused. What is he calling a pile of crap?
Is he referring to his team?
He's referring to his team as a pile of crap. Like, basically, you've seen that shit out there. Don't you think you want to play? You could play here. Look at those guys. They're awful.
Is he taking resumes for emotionally abusive stepdad? Because I think that he could get that job.
Yeah, well, in fairness, college coach often has a lot of, like, the Venn diagram of college coach and an emotionally abusive stepdad. Lot of crossover.
It's just a perfect circle.
It's almost, yeah, exactly. But one of the places that differs is in, like, PR. That usually you
Phil
keep
Ranta. Hello.
No.
Oh, that's my initials. Phil.
Public relations.
That's also a way to take it.
Yeah. You got to be the face of your school
Yeah.
when you're the head football coach at a
So even though
major
you can be
school.
very emotionally abusive on the practice field, behind closed doors, you got to go out there and look good. And I guess an emotionally abusive dad kind of has to do the same thing as I'm thinking about it.
Kind of. But you got to be
know,
true to your school,
you
just
can't-
like you
you
are
can't-
to your girl or guy.
Yeah.
Right? It's Beach Boys
Yeah,
lyrics.
take it easy there, Beach
Hey-o.
Boy.
Look out. Michael.
While this might be practical, it's also a little hurtful to players in the team. Oddly enough, it's also how most players refer to their head coach. You see that pile of crap over there? That's actually a human being. Because Charlie White's he's a pile of crap.
He's
Right.
a big pile of crap.
I am at most coaches are portly and wear big sweatshirts.
He's beyond portly. He's like morbidly obese.
Oh, he is a port? Joel?
Okay. For his first interview about his pending suspension for the rest of the season, first interview ever, it's an exclusive that he's doing here in the Sports podcast, we bring to you the 2011 MVP, shamed slugger, Ryan Braun.
All right, I resent the fact that you say I'm a shamed slugger. Look, I'm just here to talk, all right?
Yeah.
All right. I know there's clearly something that's the forefront of everybody's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
something that you can't shake. And I'm
been
here
all
to
over the
talk
news.
about it, all right, openly. And I'm here to talk about it frankly, because I'm the Hebrew Hammer, all right?
All right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we have some.
We
have some
absolutely have some
serious
questions
questions
for you, yeah.
Well, and obviously that thing is the birth of the royal baby.
I'm sorry.
No.
What?
No, it's the birth of the royal baby. It's a boy. Here, I brought cigars.
Okay.
thank
oh,
you.
The cigars say it's a boy on the side with little blue
Okay.
wrapper.
Appreciate that.
I do thank you. I mean, that is
No
that is
smoking in here, but
probably the biggest overall news story right now. But the biggest news story in sports is you, Ryan.
Oh
and
God!
your suspension.
Hold on. There's a needle in my arm. All right. The baby was born at St. Mary's Hospital on Tuesday at 4:24 p.m.
Ryan, actually, would really like to ask you. Now, you were caught with a tainted sample last offseason, okay? Now, you got off on it by proving some chain of custody malfeasance, okay? And now they get you. They nail you with the evidence, and you accept the 65-game suspension, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Will you admit now, because that was worse than a first-time offender suspension, and yet not as bad as a second-time offender, are you now admitting to that first offense?
No, I'm glad that you brought up the chain of custody. That's something very important to me. Did you know that there used to be a government minister in the British government that used to be present at all royal births so that they made sure the baby wasn't switched? So there wasn't a prince and pauper situation?
Okay,
Well, that is
that's-
an interesting
that's
factoid.
a fascinating little
It's
factoid.
pretty crazy, right? They don't do it anymore. Practice began in 1688.
Okay,
and there
that's-
was dozens of officials that watched Mary of Modena, which was the wife of James II, give birth to a son.
Okay. Yeah, we appreciate your interesting pieces of
I
information.
appreciate you
about the royal
bringing me
birth.
on to talk about this very important issue.
Let's
No, we
not
brought you on.
why
We
we
want to
did
talk
this.
about your suspension. And I mean, for instance, you had a hypodermic needle hanging out of your arm just a second ago.
Has anyone ever had the problem where they've had so much back knee they can't lean back in their chairs?
Wow,
had a
that
really bad
really kind of
sunburn.
implies what. I mean, so let's ask you this: do you
Don't
feel
dodge the question, Joel. These are important questions. Has anybody ever leaned? Answer my questions.
No,
We're here
I've
for
never
interview,
had.
are
I've
we
never
not?
had that much back knee before. Do you think you should abdicate?
No,
the-
let's get-
Should you abdicate the 2011 MVP title?
There's
Since-
only one thing that's going to be abdicated, and that's the crown on this beautiful baby boy, yet
Okay.
unnamed. All right? Because Kate Middleton arrived at the hospital at 6 a.m. after going to labor. The royal couple entered through the side door, of course, after
is
arriving
ridiculous.
at Kensington Palace in a 2-car convoy. That's a small convoy for a royal.
yeah,
I wouldn't
it's-
even call
okay.
that a convoy. 2 cars?
Yeah, that's not a great big convoy. That's like somebody tailgating.
Right. Now, you just signed a $100 million plus contract this past offseason.
You said that as if you were to say, speaking of convoy, and then just use the con word.
All right. Well, speaking of contractions.
Well, speaking of cons, did you know that a government minister used to be present at all royal births to make sure the baby
You
wasn't
said that
switched?
a second ago, Ryan. You have.
Don't dodge the questions, Joel.
I'm not dodging
not
any
know that.
questions.
Jordan, you are dodging the questions too. All right, we're here for an in-depth interview.
No, yeah, Ryan. I'm sorry, but I gotta say, I follow you on Twitter. We did a
Oh,
lot
in
of.
that case, you'd know that the last time a still-serving monarch was alive at the birth of his or her great-grandchild in direct succession was 120 years ago.
But that's the
oh,
thing,
what,
you didn't.
who was it?
Oh, that was the Queen Victoria's great-grandson, the future Edward VIII.
Why did you use performance-enhancing drugs?
Have anyone ever had their balls shrink so small that it gets lost in your underwear?
Nope.
Don't dodge the question,
I
Joel.
didn't dodge the
Don't
question.
dodge the
I
question.
answered very directly. Listen, you did not show any interest in anything royal at any point in your entire life up until 2 days ago when you got suspended for the remainder of the Major League Baseball season. I can't help but think that all of this interest is feigned so that you can evade the sort of questions that we're asking.
I'm glad that you brought up evasion, all right? Did you know that titled royal babies evade having surnames?
Oh, good
They
God.
just don't have surnames. Members of the royal family are famously burdened with plenty of names. Prince William was christened William Arthur Philip Louis, or Louis. I don't know, the Wikipedia article didn't tell me. I think they all say Louis because there was a King Louis.
Did you
There's
look
also
up?
a song called Louis Louis.
Now you're really grasping at straws here, Ryan. Did you look up a whole bunch of royal birth facts just so you could avoid talking to us about your suspension?
Has anybody ever had their biceps grow so large that they can't scratch their own shoulders?
Absolutely not.
Stop dodging the question, Joel.
I'm not dodging anything. I've been incredibly direct in all of my answers.
God, that brings up a really important point, Joel, that I've been meaning to really get out the entire time that I've been here.
Okay, all right. Let's hear it.
The only second royal heir to be born in a hospital.
Oh, my God.
The second royal heir to be born in a hospital.
Did you think you could get away with it?
What, like Kate Middleton got away with having a baby?
How did she get away with...
No.
Because she did it and she wasn't killed.
What are you talking about? Ryan, we thought we were having you on to talk about baseball.
I thought that I was coming on for an interview.
An interview, yes, about
yes.
the biggest story in sports right now.
The biggest story right now is what you said. That's what Gene said I would be talking about.
Yes.
Oh,
biggest
no.
story.
You blaming this on our scheduling guy is just like you blaming your tainted urine sample on the messenger service when they did nothing wrong.
They did nothing. Are you going to apologize to the people that you accused of malfeasance after you were incorrectly exonerated after your previous positive test?
Speaking of malfeasance, did you know a government minister used to be present at
I'm
all
gonna stab
royal
you in the face
to
with
make
a
sure
pen.
the baby
I am
wasn't
done with
changed?
this.
We're done with this
Ryan,
interview. We're
Ryan,
done.
we're gonna ask you to
We're gonna have
leave.
to ask you to leave.
All right, you guys really took me to shul today. Thank you. For you, the listeners of Sports Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I personally recommend a wonderful book called The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Joel saw the movie. He said that it was okay. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/comedy podcast network. Again, that's audibletrial.com/comedy podcast network for your free audiobook. And now it's time for another Weird Sports! Weird Sports.
Woo!
And the farewell tour continues.
Yes, the farewell tour still has 20% of the Weird Sports left that will be in total of Weird Sports in
We
our
might have been a
catalog.
little, as you're saying this now, Phil, I'm realizing we might have been a little premature in starting our quote-unquote farewell tour.
Right.
He's right. We have 20%, more than 20% of our Weird Sports
Almost
remaining.
half a year of Weird Sports are
Right,
left.
exactly.
It's a lot
Well,
of Weird
yeah.
Sports.
Well, I just want people to be prepared to say goodbye.
Right.
No
yeah.
one likes, when bits end suddenly
Yeah.
and you're not ready for it.
Right.
It's a grieving process.
They should start listening to Boys II Men End of the Road right now.
It's
in their
so
head.
hard
To
to sports.
to
Sports.
This week's Weird Sport, Suicide Race.
Ooh.
Is it-
hot topic?
Is it
Hot
who
topic.
kills
Hot
themselves
topic,
first?
the
In which case,
loudest store in the mall since 1982. The Suicide Race, also promoted as the world-famous Suicide Race,
Yeah,
probably
it's
because it's a
promoting
better
it.
promotional point,
yeah.
is a horse race held every year during the second week of August in Omak, Washington, as part of the Omak Stampede, which is a rodeo, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm glad it's not an actual stampede.
I just like that Jordan said "oh" to absolutely nothing. Like, what was revealing about that? Oh, it's in a rodeo. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's in a rodeo. It's got horse. Oh.
I get it.
Held for more than 70 years. That's older than my dad. The race is known for the portion of the race where horses and riders run down Suicide Hill, which is a 62-degree slope that runs for 225 feet
Holy crap!
to the Okanogan River.
That's ridiculous.
That's straight downhill, y'all.
That's like straight downhill.
Wait, what was the angle?
62.
62 degrees.
Well, wouldn't 90 be straight down?
Well,
Yeah,
yes, 90
but
would be
62
straight
is
down,
very
but 62 is so close that, like, on the Tour de France, like, the absolute steepest that they ever climb is like 10 or 12% at most. Like, and that's really steep.
Right?
Okay.
This is Suicide Hill.
Yes.
You know what that means? Horsey legs gone broken. Though the race was inspired by Indian endurance races, the actual OMAC race was the 1935 brainchild of a local OMAC business owner. The race has provoked serious concerns among animal welfare and animal rights groups, a.k.a. fucking hippies.
What about human rights groups?
Yeah, I
If
know.
it's called Suicide Race, are there any human rights groups?
Is this
that are
like one of the
we should
the
stop?
horse racing situation where you get all of these people who are really upset every time like a horse breaks its leg and has to be put down, but like jockeys are dying at age 30 every day and nobody says anything?
Yes, exactly.
Well, the jockeys are saying something. Help me, I'm dying at age 30.
I'm just a little guy. I'm Tom Cruise. He's a small dude. Actually, he's 5'7". I make a lot of fun for him being short. It's not that tiny.
That's pretty tiny.
It's small. It's not tiny.
It's short.
All right. The course starts at the top of Suicide Hill, where riders have 50 feet to get their horses up to full speed before charging down the hill and into the river, where they swim across to the other side, then sprint the last 500 yards to the rodeo arena where a crowd awaits.
Is it really that necessary?
Stop saying That's no
understand.
Is it really that
They're
necessary
racing
to
a
get your
rodeo.
horse to full speed prior to going down the insanely steep hill?
If you want to win.
I don't know. Part of me says that you're going to be at top speed like after the first 4 feet of the hill. So
That's
why?
loser talk, Joel.
Yeah.
That is loser talk.
This would be my fear. I think that if I was riding a horse and riding up to a cliff, what if my horse's natural inclination was to jump when it gets to the edge? At a 62-degree incline,
Yeah.
you'd fall a long way.
I'd be more. I mean, first of all, why would that be the natural inclination of the horse to jump
I
out
feel
in
like-
the air?
I feel like you've seen Back to the Future 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
One
good,
time
right?
the best.
I was at Comic-Con last week, and I saw Back to the Future on the big screen.
Really?
And let me tell you, it is still awesome.
course
High
it is.
five, my wife.
I'm not gonna-
That was Borat.
But
I don't think a horse's natural inclination would be to jump. I think a horse's natural inclination would be to buck you off and turn around and go in the
right.
opposite direction.
I could see the horse stopping
like,
and then you
what the
flying
fuck
off
is
the
this,
front
a
of it.
cliff? I am not
I'm
jumping.
not running off a
Oh,
cliff.
don't
What are you?
give horses human interior dialogue. Horses are just
Okay.
like, oats, oats, oats.
Yeah, but I think in this
You
case
can-
it'd be
you cannot
oats,
feed a
oats,
horse
oats,
just-
cliff.
Yep.
And then it'd stop, and you would still go flying and fall all the way to the bottom. It's just that you would fly off the front of the horse when it stopped, instead of the horse randomly leaping into the air.
I would rather see it reap into the air. Most riders wear helmets and are also required
No shit.
to wear life jackets. Stop it. Just like in Back to the Future when everyone thought that Marty McFly was wearing a life jacket. They said he must be in the Navy.
Kid, if you want a Pepsi, you're gonna have to pay for it.
There it is. Horses and riders have to pass 3 tests to demonstrate their ability to run in the race and navigate the river.
What are the 3 tests?
Test number, or I'll call them trials because it makes it sound more cool. Trial number 1, the initial veterinarian exam to make sure the horse is physically healthy.
Okay, well that's just common sense.
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's a good idea.
Trial number 2, a swim test to ensure horses can cross the river.
What does the swim test involve?
The horse has to cross the river.
Okay.
This sounds a lot like the Salem witch trials.
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
you throw them in the water, and like if they float, they're a witch, and you burn them, and if they sink, then they drown. But you
die
know
a
they
very
weren't
noble
a witch.
death.
Yeah, or if they
Yeah.
weigh the same as a duck, right?
Yeah, well,
Back
that was-
to the future. And trial number 3, the hill test, where riders ride their horses off the hill at a controlled speed to prove that their animals won't give way to fear at the brink, which could cause a dangerous pileup.
Well, see, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So they do like the whole race.
'Cause
Right.
horses
Just
can
to
be
make sure they can.
persnickety.
Right.
They can be skittish.
I'm amazed that they use like dangerous pileup though. The idea that the worst part is a horse would stop and other horses would run into it.
We got a pile
Well,
up
then,
down
yeah, well, then the
Suicide Hill
horse-
that's
It's much
blocking
like the
trail
way
right
that
there.
Biff runs into the manure truck and has a dangerous pileup when he is buried in manure in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Manure. He
But-
hates manure.
He
Yeah.
can't stand the stuff, and he
But
doesn't
here's the
even
thing.
know why.
I imagine like actively running down it is safer than like getting pushed over the edge and falling down it.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. That said, still, I think you say horses are skittish. I say horses aren't skittish enough. You see the things that people make horses do when they're riding them around, and I'm just like, you shouldn't do any
Have
of
you
that.
ever seen dressage? Freaky.
Yeah. Like, what happened to you, horse, that you do this crap? It's sad.
The riders consist of both cowboys and Indians.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Why?
In particular, members of the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation, whose reservation includes the East Omak and the rodeo grounds, view the race as reminiscent of their traditions as horse warriors.
I mean, traditions.
No, stop it.
Like the Darkas? What are they called in Game of Thrones? Dothrakis.
The Dothrakians.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you call them the Darkas?
Yeah, Darkas. I don't know.
Sounds dangerously close to a slur in
what,
Westerosi.
Donnie Darkos? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I was trying to remember that. I've only seen season 1, guys.
All right.
All right, we're getting nearing the end, so I'm going to skip down to animal abuse controversy. The event is opposed by several animal rights groups, including the
all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Presumably.
This is my favorite one, the Progressive Animal Welfare Society.
Who the hell is that?
PAWS.
Oh.
Progressive Animal Welfare Society. A little baby doggy paws.
Probably like PETA.
Yeah. Defense of Animals, the Humane Society, PETA, blah, blah, blah. Who are against the high level of danger posed to the horses. In the previous 25 years, for example, at least 21 horses have died.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm surprised it's that low.
I was going to say, past 25 years, they basically almost average a death a year.
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
horse.
Well,
Again, I would assume more.
How many people run in this?
62-degree
3 of them died just in 2004.
How many of these? How many people run on each of these? How many cowboys and Indians?
It doesn't say exactly. I saw a little YouTube snippet of it, and it looked like there was like 50 maybe.
I mean, the odds aren't bad if it's just
Here's
one
the
a
thing:
year.
they have to get a veterinary exam before they
Right,
plunge
to
down an
prove that
insanely
they have
steep slope.
steel legs
So
that
obviously
can't
it's
break.
safe. Like, I don't know what everyone's up in arms about.
Oh, go back to your pause meeting, hippie. And that comes to an end. Another Weird
Citizens of Podcast Town, this brings to the close another sports
Sports.
podcast. Before we go, Phil would like to give you our contact information.
You can email us at sportspodcast@gmail.com. That's sportspodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at sports3podcast. That's at sports3podcast. And please let us know whether or not you like only baseball as a segment.
The fans love it. The fans love it.
You can find us on Facebook by searching Sports Podcast, your little top bar thingy. You can find us on Stitcher Radio. Download the Stitcher app today at Stitcher.com. Search Sports Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/comedypodnet. And that's youtube.com/comedypodnet. And while you're there, make sure to check out me playing Tecmo Super Bowl as the Detroit Lions. Week 5 is posted this week. You can find us on iTunes by searching Sports 3 Space Podcast. That's Sports 3, all one word, Space Podcast. While you're there, please rate and review, subscribe. It's fun times. And you can find all of our back episodes at comedypodcastnetwork.com.
Guys, I'm actually finding I got a disturbing email here.
Yeah.
It's from the royal baby.
Uh-oh.
He's claiming that because they did not have an official present to confirm, he has been swapped out with a pauper.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
no.
You mean
That's right.
he's going to do nothing and get paid?
The pauper will.
Good.
The prince is going to have to work.
Fuck
and
that
he's
prince.
not happy about it.
Good.
You know, I hear he's already clawing.
Ha-ha. Evil.
Lights up.
You have received this transmission from the Comedy Podcast Network. For more shows, visit comedypodcastnetwork.com.